Sir.
Islam, brother, what's going on with you?
Islam, brother, man.
Islam, it's good to see you again.
Likewise.
It's been a long week and a lot of discussions.
Brother, tell me about it.
Yeah. I told you was an interesting person.
Jeez, man. Yeah.
So you didn't realize how interesting he was?
Nah.
So, even like my friends that's outside of the more Science Temple of America and our thoughts, they was coming to me and they was intrigued about because I told them, I said we ain't even got to none of the
we ain't got to the good stuff yet.
We ain't got to the good stuff yet. We got cut off. We were just giving some background information. Hey, so what I wanted to ask you before we left off, I want to remind everybody and to bring me and you back on the same where we left off at. We was getting ready to go off into the nation is inside of a nation.
Correct, bro.
Conversation.
Absolutely.
But I think before we get deeper off into that, I want to ask you to one other part of your journey. Because you mentioned about Anael-Bey.
Yeah.
That's the introduction to Noble Drew Ali. And after you was introduced to Anael-Bey, did you get any further introduction to Prophet Noble Drew Ali?
No, that's really, there's a couple things I want to share with your audience and just the public about that. Mm-hmm. That was the summer of 1991. Prior to that, we were pretty much strictly 5%ers. You know what I'm saying? But now, let me go back even further with that. So the 5% Nation, I was fully immersed in the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths, just before I entered into college. And so entering into college, plus that, right, took me in some other interesting directions. So with the Nation of Gods and Earths, the 5% Nation, of course, the material, the literature was the supreme wisdom that came out of the Nation of Islam. We called it 120 lessons, right? Now, to add to that was what we called Supreme Alphabet, Supreme Mathematics, and Supreme Alphabet. And so at the same time, I was working while in college. I was working at an occult and esoteric bookstore called Seven Rays Bookstore. That was the name of the bookstore. It's called Seven Rays. And so I'm surrounded by all of that stuff while studying 120 lessons and in college, right?
Wow.
So I'm looking at Supreme Mathematics, Supreme Alphabet. Well, what's similar to that in the esoteric world? Kabbalah, right? The assigning of attributes and deeper meanings to numbers and letters. So that was my introduction right there, formally into the esoteric or occult world of the metaphysics. That's how that happened. Okay. You see?
So I see you much better now, you see, because again, brother, early in my journey around 89, 90, I had started to be introduced to the occult.
Nice. Very nice.
H.P. Blavatsky and all those people was introduced to, that was early on. And then we started going off into Sanskrit, studying Sanskrit and learning about root races and root worlds and, all that stuff that's, must be developed by the exercise of strength. And that's brother. All, and thought. Man is a thought of a lot, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. So all of that, what you're talking about, we're talking about. Yeah, we're just developing with that information and building what's become of you today. It is, though, when you think about it.
I learned something about you today. Oh, wow, okay. That's
okay,
powerful.
yeah. We have exchanged information.
Oh, absolutely. See, that you already know. But I want to revisit this very thing later on in this conversation, as it relates to page 3 in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Symbol of America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, summer of 91, summer after my freshman year, was when, now mind you, prior to that, the knowledge of the Morish movement, or a knowledge of the Morish movement, right, we had, but it was being dangled in front of us like a carrot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so in the summer of 91, my good brother Forrest Webb, old school rock steady crew member, who has roots in Ohio, in Cleveland, he says, yo, listen, we ain't got to wait on nobody, right? One of CM-Bey's old students is right here and has an institute called the Moorish American Institute. So I was like, I'm in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that was a no-brainer. Huh?
Now, say it again.
I said that was like a no-brainer.
Oh, bro.
When you heard about the Moorish American Institute, like, it ain't really think about it.
We was on the John the Harbinger degree. Why must I wait?
Right.
We were straight at it. You know what I'm saying? And so, then I'm going to tell you something interesting another interesting thing for the readers or listeners, especially those who are familiar with the Moorish movement. We met this sister while we were there studying, and the late J. Johnson Bey was that student of CM-Bey who operated that school. And he told us, he said, this sister right here is from Louisiana. Her family has been struggling with the federal government for over a generation, trying to obtain from the federal government land that she says belongs to her family. And so she came to us for help. I said, Kendi, what do you mean us? She goes, well, the Moors, us. She came to us for help. Right? You know who she was? The founder of Washington.
Yes.
Empress Tiara Vertice Gostin Anael-Bey. That's her. Yeah. She got her start at the Moorish American Institute of the Circle of Mothers and Sons under under one of CM-Bey's students, the late J. Johnson Bey. We were there when she was learning.
Okay. Now that's the institute that you just introduced, the Moorish American Institute of
the Circle of Mothers and Sons. I think I heard of that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that was your further introduction to Moorish.
Say it again.
Right.
What's that?
That was like your further advanced introduction into the teachings.
Yes. So yes. The school was called the Moorish American Institute, but when you passed their examination, they said you were in the Circle of Mothers and Sons. That's what that was. And that's when they gave you the Zodiac Constitution, and you got a 5-symbol card, all the stuff that CM-Bey had put together for his little elite group that he called the Clock of Destiny Order. Right. So we came back to New York. I came back to New York on fire. Right.
Right.
I did. You know how it is when you have to. The Chinese have a saying. They say the half full bucket makes loud splashing noises, but the full bucket is silent. We was half full buckets, bro. We was wild. You hear me?
Right. To make a noise everywhere you went.
Brother, we was for real half a hot shots. You know what I'm saying? And we would, bro, man, oh man. I mean, man, we was acting up.
Now let me ask you this question. At what point, because I know you didn't heard this before too, at what point did you become, and I think I may have asked you this, but I'm not sure. At what point did your name become Sharif and Anael?
Oh, that came even later, because I was back at that time. So you're about to get some exclusive, bro. Because at that time I was still, with the whole 5% thing. So I was Sharif Anael-Bey. That's what. Yeah, I was. And I kept that until I kept that until summer of 2000.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Something like almost 9 years later. Yeah. But so brother, whew, again, we were half a hot shots and we thought we had the whole thing. So we was going crazy. Right. And again, like I had said in the previous podcast, we had a misunderstanding of a misunderstanding. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because right off top, CM-Bey, you give honor's due. CM-Bey was doing his thing at a time period where there was a lot of upheaval and confusion in the Morish movement. A lot of people will say, well, CM-Bey was disrespectful for not mentioning Prophet Noble Drew Ali in his literature. I wouldn't say he was disrespectful. I would say, given the time period, he was being very meticulous and being very careful not to associate what he was doing with the Morish Science Temple of America. You see? Hence,
I'm glad. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
About that, because I always heard people talk about CM-Bey was not actually a part of the Clock of Destiny. And what I've always heard is that the Prophet expelled him from the Morish Science Temple of America.
There's a lot of
have you heard
that? There's a lot of presumption passed on as fact. I would say I don't know if the Prophet expelled him from the organization. That I don't know. It's said that he did. It's also said that he just decided to do his own thing. You see what I'm saying? It's also that he decided to do his own thing, and out of respect, one, for what the Prophet was doing, two, because he was trying to do something different. He wasn't trying to have this huge mass movement. He was going after, like I mentioned before, initiated Freemasons and Asiatic Freemasons and Eastern Stars. In a sense, it was as if he was trying to create like this little talented 10th. He was like the Morish W.B. Du Bois. You see what I'm saying? That's what he was doing. And then thirdly, let's just keep it a buck. The Moors back then wasn't nothing to be played with.
Most definitely not. Most definitely not.
Nothing to be played with. So he wanted I believe he wanted to steer clear of that.
Yeah. So this how you got your introduction into the because I heard I synced and me you talked about it briefly. Is this where you got your introduction into the Masonic order through CM-Bey, Clock of Destiny?
Somewhat. CM-Bey, in the Morish American Institute at a particular point, they taught Freemasonry. We weren't there long enough to learn Freemasonry per se from the late J. Johnson Bey, but it definitely piqued the interest. I became an initiated Freemason in what year? 97? I think it was 97. That's when I became initiated, passed, and raised. 97 in Scottish Rite. And then later healed over into Egyptian Rite, the Rite of Memphis Mizraim. Yes, sir.
But you know what I find funny? Huh?
Yes,
go ahead.
But their interest began 91, but it wasn't until 97 that it became a reality as far as being a Freemason. Yes, sir.
That's interesting because I was going to say when I joined the Morish Science Temple of America in 89, 1989.
Yes, sir.
And prior to that, the only introduction I would say that I had to anything dealing with nationality was when I was younger. I was introduced also to the Shrine of the Black Madonna. When they talked about the Canaanites and things of that nature. I was very young.
Yes, sir.
But what I found when early on in the Morish Science Temple of America, it was made out to me that Masonry was the higher lessons of Morish science. That's what it was presented to me, because I never forget that a brother was like trying to keep this book and stuff a secret from me and a couple other younger brothers. And somehow the other brother went to somebody else around his back and got hold of this book. And the more seasoned Moor was like chastising him, telling him he was stepping outside of his level of understanding. But I never forget, he came to me later on and told me, man, I think you ready and he ain't ready. And he started giving me, that's how I started getting introduced to Sanskrit and different things of that nature. But it was always laid out to me. But I'm going to tell you what was funny, though, because I seen a couple Moors where I was at who were recommended to the Masonic order, and they accepted the recommendation, and they walked around with their chests out. So I was really young. I was like 20, 21 at the time, 22. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, it was around that time, 89, 90, 91. So I'm thinking like, yeah, that's what's supposed to be. But what hurt my feelings is you had to be recommended by somebody who seen something in you, and nobody never recommended me.
Right.
Nobody never recommended me. So I was like, wow. But then later on, I didn't know. I'm going to tell you, this social media is something else. Because prior to social media, it was a lot of things that we wasn't easily information we weren't privy to. So we took our journey. And going through it, you found out.
You had to be outside.
Yeah, you had to be outside. Now people be at their fingertips and they try to talk. Oh, you was a part of that, or you did this. And that. Man, I was outside, man. I was outside on a journey, man. Jesus said, "Every hall of learning, I must sit."
Come on, brother.
Yeah, I just like a lot of things. Like we was talking about, I wanted people to get to know you.
Yes, sir.
Because they know where you at, but they don't know where you've been. And once they see where you've been, and they understand why you took it or how you ended up on the journey that you ended up on. You get better understanding, man. And I think that we all need to understand.
I want to share something, perspective that I have, my perspective on Freemasonry as it relates to the Morish movement. First and foremost, and it's, I won't do the compare contrast thing. Right. There's no need for me to do that. What we end up getting caught up in, a lot of us, when I say we, I'm talking about members of the movement. We get caught up in, well, which one's better? If you did that, you must not have faith in the prophet. First of all, I did this before I knew the prophet. Right. Secondly, right, as you pointed out, in every hall of learning, okay.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, if I thought that as an institution, as an organization, was better for the salvation of our people than the Moorish Science Temple of America, then that's where I would be.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Now, having said that, let me say this. This is 100% my perspective on it, right? Men should have integrity. So when I was in that school, right, and when I was admitted into that school, we were admitted, under the point of a sharp object. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the beauty for me. Our prophet, when he said he took the cover off all the secret organizations, that didn't mean that he was a whistleblower. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It didn't mean he was a whistleblower. Right? It meant, at least to me, to my level of understanding, that what he gave us secrets that are, or things that are taught as secret in many of these organizations, but he gave them to us as our religious expression.
And gave them to the children.
Brother. So listen, I can teach 96 degrees of Rite of Memphis Mizraim right out of this as part of my religion.
Truth ain't number one.
That's right. Brother. You see what I'm saying? That's it.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, can you interpret the language or translate the language and use the language of our literature to convey the same ideas? You see?
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's all.
That's where you get that substance from.
Like, I give an example. I give a quick example. And this ain't violating no oaths or anything like that, because this is something you could pull up in Duncan's Ritual, or you could pull up wherever, right?
Right.
I was just talking about this earlier in Sunday school. In chapter 5 of the Holy Chronicle of Moorish Science of America, Jesus, right, is working. And he says, these tools remind me of the tools we handle in the workshop of the mind, with things made of thought and we build up character. Many people think that when he's giving descriptions of the square, the compass, the axe, the plummet, the chisel, all that stuff, they're thinking that those are secrets. They're not.
Show that.
Those aren't secrets. The secret, or pointing to the secret, was when he said, these tools remind me. Now we're looking at the secret, people. That square ain't a physical square. And if he's describing the use of it is to straighten out the crooked places of the way and make the corners of our conduct square, what's the real square? Now we're talking about secrets. See what I'm saying? But as our prophet told me, I'm going to give away a good one. Here we go. In the Holy Quran of More Science of America, page 3, the prophet says these secret lessons 3 times. And it refers to the lessons in the pamphlet are not for sale. He describes a distinction, keyword, between the lessons in the pamphlet and the pamphlet itself. So just because you got the pamphlet don't mean you got the lessons. But here's the interesting thing. The rest of the pamphlet, at the top of the page, it says the divine instructions. It doesn't say divine lessons.
Nope.
See what I'm saying?
Instructions.
So the real secret in this case is methodology. You follow the instructions, and the reciprocal you get is the secret lesson. See? When you start straightening out the crooked places of your way and making the corners of your conduct square, the first thing you realize is this: whoa, this ain't easy. It's far easier to do the wrong thing than it is to do the right thing. So before you can even use your square, you have to first master the use of the plumb line, the plummet. Why? Here's the plummet in our literature. Chapter 45, instruction 1. The fallen age-headed sons and daughters of North America need to learn to love instead of hate and learn of their higher self and lower self. That's your plummet. That's your plumb line. Why? You have to learn discernment first. Because in every single instance, we were in our lower self. We were convinced we were in our higher self, weren't we? You see what I'm saying?
Right, bro.
Yeah. You couldn't tell me when it was time to knock somebody in. You already know. I thought I was 100% in the right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was dead wrong.
Yeah.
So we have to learn discernment first. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you talking. You what you doing is talking practical application of the lessons that we read, and individuals know how to articulate very well. But when it comes down to actual practice, they don't identify how to use the tools. I teach about this all the time. Them tools we handle in the workshop of the mind, because what's going on is like an alchemy type thing taking place, because when you start using them properly, you start changing your conduct, you start transforming into something other than what you was prior to you receiving these, the understanding how to use these lessons.
Brother,
so you transform.
That's the secret. That's the secret. Right,
and it's science.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's see what you're talking about. The prophet called it the block of wood demonstration, right? You know what those people like? I use this as a joke. It's kind of funny. I said the people that just talk it, but don't follow the instructions and do it, and then claim knowledge, are the people that say they know what a peach cobbler tastes like because they ate the recipe instead of the pie. See what I'm saying?
That's deep. Because there's a lot of recipe eaters. There's a lot of recipe eaters. It'll be funny because they'll tell you how it tastes and everything, and you describe the taste, and you actually ate the pie. They'll tell you wrong. You be like,
and tell you you're wrong. Yeah. Right.
You're wrong.
See, because
that's even you still wipe the pie off the side of your mouth, and they tell you you're wrong.
But that's even deeper, because think about it, Mo. Think about it. If you actually ate the pie, you can't really completely describe how it tastes to somebody who's never tasted it. What do you say? Man, it was this, man, you just got to try it yourself, right?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
All we can say is it is great. It is good. It was. You see what I'm saying?
No, we can say
you have to walk it. The other person's got to walk it too, or else what are we doing? You know?
That's why I said every hall of learning, I will sit.
Yes, sir.
In every hall of learning, pardon me, anything that any man has suffered, I will meet.
Yes.
In order to know how to succor your brothers and sisters, in order to know how to communicate, listen, with the Christian minister, the whatever Nation of Islam's minister.
Perfect. You said it perfectly. You know how the nation says it? This is how the nation says what you just said. The Nation of Islam and their lives, they say it this way. No teacher can be successful that does not speak the student's language.
Exactly.
Like I give it, here's a good example. You got me amped up today, bro. Listen, here's a good example. This is a good example. When I was with the brother Ross Sadiel, which we're gonna get to, right? We established a prison ministry at Auburn Prison, right? Wild prison up here, upstate New York. Yeah. And it turned a lot of the brothers there knew me or knew of me because my 5% days and a couple brothers knew me personally in there. So we were there for a study session, one of the first study sessions, and I was there with a couple other brothers who thought they knew a little something. Those brothers, first of all, they in prison mode. They ain't got nothing to do all day but study.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
They went up one side of them and down the other. I was sitting silent. So finally they just said, yo, brother, can you aid and assist? I said, sure. They said, listen, they told the brothers, they said, no, we know who he is. We may not agree with where he is, but we know who he is and we know what he knows to a degree. He said, but we do have some questions. We said, we respect you, Brother Sharif, but 2 questions. Here's one in particular, right? They said, you know, one of the lessons in the Supreme Wisdom, and I'm paraphrasing, why does the devil teach that the almighty, true, and living God is a spook that can't be seen with the physical eye? And the answer, right, I'm paraphrasing, so Allah is God, but he is not unseen. He's seen and heard everywhere, for he's the all-eye seeing, right? Okay. So they said, well, you all say in your questionnaire, can we see him? No. So can you explain it? I said, sure. They said, because either we know you know what our stuff, but how do you know our stuff but still believe that God's a spook? I said, I never said God's a spook. I said, but let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's start with what we all agree on. You say man is God. They say, yeah. I said, we say man and Allah are one. Would you agree? They say, yes. I said, so we're saying the same thing on that level, right? They said, yes. I said, okay. It's easy for us to say man is God. A harder question is this: what is man? Sure. I said, now keep in mind, you all are in prison.
Right. Right.
What is man? If man is God, what is man? You can't leave here. Not on your own volition. Right? Okay. I'm okay. Man is God. Fine. Sometimes I have problems balancing my checkbook. Why is that if I'm God?
Right. Right.
See what I'm saying? So
you get sick and everything.
What? So one of the brothers said, right. So one of the brothers was like, well, yeah, but I said, also remember, this is temporary. Right? Oh, yeah. Well, you know, when we leave this body, we go back to that essence. I said, okay, we say spirit, y'all say essence. All right, fine. But you know, right, that man ain't the body or the soul. So we actually agree.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? And then I took it a step further. Because a brother brought up, he said, well, yeah, in our lessons, we teach about the self-creation of the first God and how, the triple stage darkness, but the darkness was a substantive darkness. And in the center stage, there was an atom of life that was sparked and it started to rotate and build for itself a brain and a body and da-da-da-da-da. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I get it. I said, so first of all, I said, you know what? I'm not going to disagree with you. I said, here we go. You said 3 stages of darkness. You said in the middle stage, this atom of life began to spark and rotate, right? So, I said, okay. I said, so you're saying that God I can see it on your forehead, brother. You already know what's going on. But so I took them there last. But I said this. I said, so you're saying that God is a man and is physical. They say, I said, okay. So, but you also bear witness to the self-creation of the first God. They say, yes. I said, self-creation of the first God, right? They say, yeah. I said, so God made for himself a body. Is that what you're saying? They say, yeah. I said, then you admit that God existed before the body. Check. Then I quoted them chapter 1. I said, we talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
And this goes back to your point about in every school, in every hall of learning, so you know their language. Truth is but one.
Exactly.
Truth is but one. We could say it in different languages, but there's only one way to tell the truth. See?
Yeah.
And if
one of my best teachers early on was a Sunni Muslim.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He told me, he gave me that lesson. He gave me that lesson. He told me to learn everything about Christianity, learn everything about Orthodox Islam, learn everything about the Nation of Islam, learn everything that I can. He said, because just you never know who you may have to entertain in a conversation. And you don't want to be sitting up there lost.
And
yeah.
We want to be able to apprehend or come as close as we can to truth. Truth is intangible, but it can be manifest in unlimited ways. And schools of thought are just ways to manifest truth.
That's right.
That's why
you say there's 360 degrees of knowledge. You can't think that we got 360 degrees. I'm walking around here with all the knowledge. I don't need no input. I don't need no. I have arrived. No, that was the case. While I'm still going through what I'm going through.
Right.
Go ahead, though.
That's why the prophets, he described the movement, the Morish movement, as part of the great program to uplift fallen humanity. Okay. Yeah.
Now on that note, let's get to the groovy part.
Yes, sir.
Let's get back to the groovy. Cause man, you just got so many interesting facets. I don't even really know to start, but we was on that nation within the nation thing, and then you just mentioned being with the Chief Rasadiel in the 1928 Grand Fight. When did that take place?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that took place. Okay, when we had kind of run our course of all this sovereign citizen and pseudo sovereign citizen stuff, when we realized, oh, you know what? Because like I said, we were outsmarting the system. And that's what it was. It wasn't that we were right or 100% right. Just we knew some things that at the time the system didn't know. So they were trying to err on the side of caution, right? But after a while, certain segments of them got fed up. There was I think I said this on the last segment, where there was this one judge who we were friends with, Judge Langston McKinney, late Langston McKinney. He told us, he said, listen, I'm glad y'all calmed down. There was a whole contingency of police that wanted to kill you all. That's real, you know, and I can tell you of one instance where it could have happened on a simple traffic stop, and I wasn't even driving. I was in the passenger seat, but they knew who I was, and we was in a remote area. Yes, sir. And they told me to get out the car, and then told my friend who was driving, said, "Oh yeah, sir, you're free to go." They was
wow, but you just a passenger.
He stayed and got on the phone. They saw that, so they let me go. If it wasn't for that, they'd have left me. Yeah.
So what happened?
Oh, ain't no telling, brother. Ain't no telling. And so that was interesting. So yeah, they wanted us. You know, we were causing that much of a stir. And then I started to really think. I'm like, my son was born in 1994. You know, and after a while, I'm like, look. I can't have my son around this while I'm sitting here experimenting with high explosives. I don't know what might happen to me.
Right.
You know? Right. What if he was in the car? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I had to start really thinking responsibly, like, yo, what are we really doing? You know, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm a wild.
You sound like a criminal. You heard me? That's the same conversation a criminal. That's the same conversation a criminal would have about getting out of the criminal life. I said that sounds like a criminal.
No,
that sounds like for real. It sounds like you realized that you was committing criminal acts.
Bro, I was at that conscious crossroads.
Right.
You know, conscience, crossroad.
Right. A self-accusing spirit. Yeah, it was talking to
you. Yes, sir. And so after a while, I'm like, you know what? I need to get right. I'm gonna tell you something now that I don't think I've ever said on a podcast ever. I said, I need to get right. So let me go back to something. And the only organization that was around in upstate New York at that time was the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And now, mind you, prior to that, we had, because we knew the brothers in the Nation, and there were a couple of occasions we used to run circles around them with their own lessons, because some of those brothers weren't studying. They were just emulating Minister Louis Farrakhan, but they weren't studying. Right? So we used to run circles around them with their own lessons. So after a while, I said, you know what? Let me stop playing. Let me just go ahead. And this was around the time of the Million Man March.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time of the Million Man March. And so I said, let me just go ahead and, long story short, I was already ready to register. If you know the Nation of Islam, you join, they say you're processing. You have to make a certain X amount of meetings. You got to memorize student enrollment. You got to memorize, number of actual facts. You got a couple things you got to memorize, and then you got to write your letter. You have to write your letter. I wrote my letter, boom, right? That was easy because we had learned when we learned penmanship at Muhammad's University of Islam, we learned the exact penmanship used to write the letter. So it was easy. I was like, did it. So sent it off. I was already ready to register or ready to recite so I could be registered because I already knew the lesson. They would not let me recite. And there was a brother. There was a brother. Listen, when I say this, you're going to crack up. I found this out later. There were some brothers that thought I was an agent because I knew too much going in. I told you, see?
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, wow, that's deep.
So there's one brother, good friend of mine to this day. He's in the Nation still in New York in Mosque number 7. He came to me, he said, listen, brother, you're a good dude, man. They're not going to let you in, bro. He said, what you should do, bro, you got to go find a Morish Science Temple of America. He told me that. Brother Stephen Muhammad, I'll shout his name out. Shout out to Brother Stephen Muhammad, Mosque number 7, Harlem, New York. Yeah, he's originally from Queens. Okay. But yeah, he said, yo, bro, you need to go find the Morish Science Temple of America. See, that's a lot talking.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's crazy though? What's crazy is when you came from California and you had already went to a Nation of Islam school, and when you came to New York and you met the 5 percenters and they asked you questions, they said the same thing. Oh, he know too much. He must be an agent.
Same thing.
Yeah, and then when you go back to the Nation, the same people that taught you the information, now you're like, nah, that's crazy.
For those people that are familiar or study astrology, I can explain it astrologically. This is something I've dealt with all my life. Is conflicts, groups, and organizations. I'm an 11th house sun, and it's squared my Pluto and Uranus in the 8th house, and squares Saturn in the 2nd house. I got a T square, bro. So, and the 11th house, as you know, deals with groups and organizations.
Yeah.
In other words, in short, any group or organization that I become a part of or associated with, I will always at the onset be met with challenges.
Yeah.
Because they see me as a threat walking in. Always.
Like you got to prove yourself.
Absolutely.
Like you got to prove. But the interesting thing about it is in the process of proving yourself, like kind of like what we're doing now a little bit.
Yes,
you
sir.
know what I mean? This is good for it's kind of like it ain't really like you proving yourself. It is, but it's like you revealing yourself.
There you go,
to people.
Brother.
And you got to once you have revealed yourself to them, they get a better understanding for like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But here's the tripped out part about it is in these organizations, we advertise looking for individuals like you. You know what I mean?
But now this is my big problem. This whole thing, what I'm like, this thing that I'm describing, always bumping my head or always running into opposition in groups. This happened even in my Kung Fu association, brother. It doesn't matter the organization. Wow. I always run into this, right? Always run into it. But here's where the real issue. Yes. But here's where the real issue comes in, the lesson. It ain't the organizations and it's not the opposition I face in the organizations. Here it is, brother. It's me not recognizing my own self-worth and value and how that's taken by others. That's it. Because at the core of the conflict that happens with me in organizations is the real concern is always, is he a team player and can he be a team player? Or is he going to shoot off and do his own thing?
Right.
Yeah.
And he just here to pickpocket the information so he can add to his arsenal to do his own thing.
There you go, brother. That's always what it is. Yeah, that's always what it is.
Yeah. And, that's a concern. That's a concern by the elders, I think, because of the things that took place during the time of the prophet. Because I can tell you, like, even in Detroit at Temple Number 4, when Brother Anael-Bey was the Grand Sheik, and we were call ourselves exemplifying the characteristics of what the prophet wanted Morish Americans to be and the things that they should be doing. For example, the brothers started going around giving lectures at colleges, right? And he was giving lectures on the myths of sovereignty in the UCC versus the Moorish Science Temple, right? And he was getting invited to all the Wayne County Community College, Henry Ford Community College, and the word got out that he was doing that, and it turned out that what we were supposed to be doing according to the word is trying to start our own thing, and we was trying to promote sovereignty. They skipped over the part about the myths of sovereignty in the UCC and the Moorish Science of America. So people always, a lot of times, and I had a discussion on the podcast about this. Sometimes people get put themselves inside of a box, and they try to put you in that box with them, and they're scared to step outside of that box. When Prophet Noble Ali teach us that no finite mind can comprehend things infinite.
There you go, brother.
In other words, he's telling us to take ourselves out the box and think outside of take ourselves outside of the box and think outside of the box. And when you find yourselves following those instructions, other individuals, they get leery and start to accuse you of what they have in their insidious mind. And
you got it, brother.
I want to get that out there, man, because when you follow this prophet's teachings and you are able to have the mindset and the wisdom to understand exactly how to read language and how to break down language, you ain't going off of what somebody said 30, 40, 50 years ago who possibly didn't really understand the meaning of some of the words that they was reading. And Prophet Noble Ali told us that in the third and fourth generation, what was going to take place. I ain't talking about putting the people on the back seat. I'm talking about coming in with our eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. And when you one of those persons, people get leery because they think you're coming for a spot, but the only thing you're trying to do is be a part of the program.
You want to see the vehicle do what it's supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro. Exactly. Yes. They think you, like you said, they think you're coming for a station. It's like, nah. Let me tell you, Mo, and I've said this to the moderator, I've said this to a number of people, right? If I could be effective to the best of my effectiveness as me and just be a mufti and not say nothing, that's what I'd rather be.
Exactly. We talked about that in Sunday school today.
Yes, sir.
We talked about that in Sunday school today. I said, and I was telling the Moors, I said, the prophet teaches in the Holy Quran and the Moorish Science of America to talk much as the foolishness of folly. I said, you don't really supposed to just be running your mouth just to be running your mouth. I said, when you open your mouth, you should add value to the conversation. Ooh. You should add value to the room or the situation, and just opening your mouth. If you're going to open your mouth and it's going to decrease the value in the room or the conversation, you should keep that to yourself. That's learning how to discern, using those carpenter tools that you talked about a few minutes ago. Keep certain things. Everything don't need to be said.
Everything doesn't need to be said.
And that's practically exactly.
Brother, when you mentioned earlier a few minutes ago about the box, putting yourself in the box and you're thinking in the box, bro, one of the things that I'm personally trying to fight in the movement and just with people in general is confirmation bias. That's a box. This is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
You know, when you take yourself out the box, like the prophet is reported to have said this in oral statements, don't worry about how your salvation is going to come. It's going to become an conflict that can't be told in words. Right?
That's what he said.
This is what it reminds me of. Remember the movie Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai?
Yeah.
Okay. Near the end of the movie, the climactic fight, battle, just before it, the samurai general is like, hey, we about to die. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then Tom Cruise starts strategizing. And the general looks at him and says, you think a man can change his destiny? And he said, Tom Cruise, I think a man does what he can until his destiny is revealed. So that's outside deep. The box. You don't get in the way of any possibility by imposing your own preconceived possibility onto the process. You see what I'm saying? Because then that gets in the way.
That's exactly right.
It gets in the way.
Right. It gets in the way.
Yeah.
It's limiting. That's finite.
It's limiting. Like, I'll give you an example. Right before we ended the last one, right, and we were talking about the whole statehood thing and, a very controversial issue inside the organization, right? Or with some people in the organization. I won't say, there was a time when I would be like, no, and I was just adamant about it. Now, I won't say that the Morish Science Temple of America is or could be the seed root for exactly that. I won't say that, but it's how, right? I'll give you an example. The Palestine Liberation, shout out to Brother A. Hopkins Bey, because he's the one that brought this to my mind. I was like, years ago. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO. It's an organization. It's not a nation. It's not. It's not a government. It's not. It's an organization. But guess what the purpose of the organization is? To be the sole representation of Palestinian nationality. Now, what would it be? Now, what would the PLO be or become if, just follow the what if, the state of Israel went bye-bye like it's going now?
Right.
It would be the only game in town.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
So what would it make? So what does that make it?
When the prophet said, I'm going to help this government. Government is a machine, people. It ain't a bot. It ain't people. People sit in seats. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the European here long enough to teach you. Come on. You see what I'm saying?
So you basically saying we're gonna end up on top, and we're gonna end up running.
Well, we don't need the paperwork demonstration. We don't need. I'm sorry. Say it again. Say it.
No, what you said. We're gonna end up in charge. Of the American government.
We don't need
not a separate. You saying not a separate thing.
Right.
Yeah. Let me tell you what the theory is that I have heard. The Morish Science Temple of America meets the comparison of, as far as being a nation state, or have the potential to be a sovereign entity.
Mm-hmm.
And it says it's set up on the same, with the religious foundation, everything, as the Vatican.
Yeah, that's a myth. Somebody hit me with this a couple days ago. And here's the thing. Let me say this as a preface. These are things that I was saying too. I was saying the exact same thing. Why? 1929. Vatican is set up in 1929. They followed the prophet. Prophet said it. That's where all right. The Vatican was set up via a treaty, the Lateran Treaty, a treaty between itself and the nation of Italy. The Moorish Science Temple of America was incorporated in this government by way, right, of the Secretary of State of Illinois, and also by way of the Religious Corporation Act 1872. Two different things. The Vatican did not come to the state of Illinois and incorporate. Right. You see, it didn't. Yeah, it didn't.
But by being a religious organization and it's having its own sovereignty, if you will, is autonomy inside of Italy, is the comparison to saying the Moorish Science Temple of America has the same ability to be recognized as a sovereign entity inside of, just like the Native Americans, things of that nature.
Right.
So, boom, go ahead.
Here's the difference. Great. That's a great question, or great, here's the difference.
Analogy, yeah.
Right. Here's the difference. A treaty recognizes two entities as equal. Incorporation subordinates one to the incorporating authority. And there is no law. It's just impossible. There's no law in American law at the local, regional, state, or national level that allows for that law or that entity, be it a state, subdivision of a state, right, to create an entity greater or equal to itself. If that was the case, then there'd be a Confederate States of America to this day. See?
I don't necessarily think they're saying it would be equal. And that's the reason why I keep throwing out the Native Americans and the, we call it the Bureau of Indian Affairs and individual. There's a lot of tribes that's applying for federal recognition so they can receive compensation or retribution to bring them back up to a sovereign state. The Native Americans had their own ID cards to show their membership in their tribal ID, and they pay dues, and they have all these, tribal identifications. And I see a lot of Moors trying to compare the Moorish Science of America to that, based upon Chapter 47, Egypt, the capital
of the dominions of Africa.
That we are in the present Moroccan Empire, is just that we lost our status, or we lost control of our empire, and Prophet Noble Drew Ali sets us up to return it. And just like you mentioned last week, and they used the mandate thing to say that he got the mandate to the land, which you cleared up and mentioned that was a religious mandate, because some people tell a story that Prophet Noble Drew Ali went to the East and he did all these things and received permission to come back over here and to teach Islam. But then that don't make no sense, because not the Sunni Muslims the Orthodox communities don't even recognize him as being a prophet, because it's just a lot of folklore. So I just threw all that out there real fast to so you can go in and talk.
Good stuff. So let's talk about the Native American thing. Native Americans, due to the I don't know if I'm quoting it right, but it was an act it was called the Indian Citizenship Act in 1924, right? So even Native Americans on reservations are considered American citizens, right? But the reservation is almost akin to a state. It's not a state, because a state is admitted to the Union via congressional act. A reservation is a federal ward. You see what I'm saying? And so, here in Syracuse, New York, this is the headquarters of the Iroquois Six Nation Confederacy. We have a decent relationship, or had. a decent relationship with the clan mothers of that nation. That is this Haudenosaunee Nation, which is the Onondaga Nation, right? And so we've met with them before. This is when I was with the whole CN-Bay stuff. It was before I came to the temple, but we met with them, right? Okay. And of course, we had, like I said, we was half a hot shots. You know, but they told us, you know how sometimes you involved in something. Oh, I'll give please forgive the analogy. Did you ever see the movie with Keanu Reeves called Street Kings?
Yeah.
Do you remember when he had the meeting with Clay Sloan and Common?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, well, you know, he threw down some drugs. He said, yeah, you know, you sell for us and we'll bust the people you want busted and da 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 da. Common was like, right. Yeah. And then dropped something bigger on him and said, oh, yeah, we do that too. Right?
Right.
That's what kind of happened to us. That's kind of what happened to us. We went up talking to these clan mothers and their war council, right? Like we had the mother load, like we had what they needed. You know what I'm saying? That's how we came at them. And we was going to come with this great revelation. You know, we was like, yeah, all of y'all are Moors, and we're the real ones. You know what they said? You know what these clan mothers said? They said, yeah, we know. But our question to you is, if we do what you want us to do, will you try to snake us out of what we got already? Oh, that's what they said, brother. That's what they said. They also said this. That's how we looked at them. Yeah, but this what else they said. Yeah. What? But this is what else they said. They said, and would you be able to handle the stuff that we have to handle? So what you mean? Bro, like for instance, I was talking about this with the moderator just yesterday. You've got like another nation called the Mohawks. Like, okay, the reservation here, Onondaga, you know, the Onondaga Nation, their reservation, but they live like a third world country, Mo. Yeah, they got their own council. Yeah, they got their own IDs. Yeah, they live like a third world country. But you know why they live like a third world country? And that's what I was like compared to. Right. Yeah. You know why they live like a third world country? Like, it's bad. You know why, Mo? Because they won't make deals with the state.
Yeah.
The Mohawks are doing really good. You know why? Because they make deals with the state. State gets a cut, and they get to build a casino.
Yeah. That's what's going on here too.
Yeah, bro. The prophet had it right. He said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven." Right? Use those tools to build your character before you go build a business. Because if you build the business first, you won't have it long because the guns come out tomorrow.
Now, but listen to what you just said, though, about the tribe that you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
They still consider American citizens. They just have a different status of citizenship. And they have their own level of autonomy, and they probably have funding, but their quality of life
poor, bro, bad.
It's poor because they're not part of a wider social duty type situation. And when you mention third world country, I'm gonna tell you, that's what I always say when people refer to us as a nation. I said we would be considered more like a third world country because we don't have an economy to establish ourselves independently. We don't have the structure to maintain independently. So we will have to utilize other people's resources, which again would make us subservient to them. That's the thing about third world countries. You end up making yourself subservient to other people trying to survive. Yeah, so I get it. But it just interests me because it's more just hardcore stuff on that. They ain't changing that.
Now watch this. To your point, see, this is a beautiful conversation. Watch this. sometimes we're so stuck, like you said before, confirmation bias. We're stuck in a box that we don't see other possibilities. Watch this. And this is going to sound crazy when I ask this question, but then just follow me. Why, or we need to ask ourselves this question seriously. Here's the question. Is it even necessary to be independent? That sounds crazy right now, but follow me. Right? Follow me. Here we go. We are, as you pointed out, if we were to call ourselves right now, because we are a nation, the prophet declared us to be that. But what do we mean? Socio-culturally, we're a nation, just like the German Americans, just like the Japanese Americans, just like the, you get it? Just like the Indian Americans, just like the Irish Americans, just like the Mexican Americans, we are a nation within a nation. Fact, right? But how? Socio-culturally. You see what I'm saying? Now, that said, the Irish Americans, American citizens, full access to rights and liberties of American citizens, unmolested, yet still have the cultural and social benefit of their old world connection in Ireland. Which means what? They themselves are the American representatives of Ireland, and now it translates directly into what? Commerce. Without losing American citizenship or the benefits thereof.
Right.
See where I'm going? Now, fast forward to, and this I've been teaching on, I've been talking about this for the past month. Here we go.
Okay.
America's on its way down. Nobody, our current president right now is orchestrating a fire sale. This is not radical talk. It just is what it is. He's orchestrating a fire sale. It is systematic dismantling of the American empire. That's that. Nobody can deny it now. I've been saying it for the past 6 months, but now nobody can deny it. They're just like, yikes, that's what it is. Now, that said, America, especially since the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, America, even before that, the Euro-West in general, America in particular, has exploited nations and countries that it has colonized or otherwise economically colonized, right? That's what it's done. And those other nations and countries are non-European nations. The collective name for those is the Global South. The East and the Global South have been subjects to American and Euro-Western imperialism. What grew out of America or the Euro-West greed has been an economic entity that now recognizes and honors no national borders. They don't care about any national border, including America. All they care about is money and emerging global markets. We made our own Frankenstein monster that we're running from. It is that entity that determines who rises and falls economically now. And what we're looking at now is a literal shift in global economic power. That's what we're looking at. Who has it now? Follow me. We were, when I say we, I'm talking about America. America, after the World War II, had the #1 economy on the planet, right? But it was an industrial economy. We actually made stuff to sell. But now we're in a consumer economy. We don't make nothing. Why? Among other things, the rich oligarchs started outsourcing to all the countries that it was exploiting. Why? Because you can make it cheaper. They can get more money. We understand basic economics. You buy a product, you mark it up, you sell it at a profit, right? Well, if you can get it for cheaper, you make more money on your back end. Okay, we get that.
That's right.
So that's what America's did, like with impunity. What did it create? The countries and the nations that we exploited not only now make it cheaper, they make it better. And guess what? To the point now where we can't make it at all. So where are the emerging global markets? There. What is the faltering market? Here. So The owners and controllers of global financialized capital, those big dogs, money-wise, have said, yeah, America's out of here. No more unipolar world power. You're now downgraded to a regional power with other regional powers. That's the truth. That has happened. That is why Trump is in office right now. But the emerging global markets are, guess what? The nations that were being exploited by the Euro-Western United States. And guess what we are? We are the American representatives of the global South. What did our prophet say? One day the United States will not be able to do any business. Come on, bro.
Well, I see it. And he said we were citizens of the USA. Now listen. Now that we didn't already established your position on whether we are a nation within a nation, whether we're a sovereign nation or not. You didn't explain that to the T, right?
Yes, sir.
Whoever the naysayers, they're still gonna be the naysayers. Whoever's opposite is gonna be the opposite. Everybody, I know that people still take their position
on it continuously. Why? Because listen, every nation, every group of people, you've got people left-leaning, right-leaning, left center, right center, moderates. Everybody has that. So
far right, far left. Yeah, absolutely. Far right, far left, independent, the Green Party, all that.
Everybody. That's
now right. The question I'm baffled about, because I had made a statement one time on somebody's post on Facebook. I can't remember whose it was. It may have been yours or something. And I said something to the fact was, because I'm on the fence with it myself. But I see this as I see the logic in this thought process right here. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came to make us better citizens.
Yes, sir.
In the American, in our government, in the government in which we live, he came to make us better citizens, and he wanted us to be recognized, federally recognized, as Morish Americans and not as Negro, Black, so forth and so on.
Come on, brother.
But not to necessarily to separate ourselves from the government, but to make us better citizens, to make us link us to the constitutional fold of government, and one day we will be on top. And then I see the other side too. So, like I said, I'm kind of on the fence.
What you just shared,
I'm right there with everything.
I can follow that thought. I can follow that thought. What you just shared.
Yeah, that's the thought I'm on. Yeah.
I can follow that thought. And again, as man unfolds, as God unfolds. A couple of years ago, I wasn't where I am now in terms of this understanding.
Right.
If I was, then that means I ain't really grown none. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, right.
Exactly.
And a wise man does what? Doubts often, changes.
Doubts often. Right. But let me tell you what happened though. So in that dialogue, I was stating that.
Yes.
And brother Ross Sadiel chimed in like he usually do with the wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe you take that stand like that. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali set us up as an independent nation of people and blah, 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 blah. How did you manage to maneuver with him as well as you did when you was with him with such contrasting thoughts about the prophets?
At that time period, brother, that's what I thought too. Remember what I came out of. So I was like, gotcha. I can get with that. Yeah. I thought that same thing too at that time. I did.
Right.
But then there was just certain things. Like I remember I mentioned to you when I was very young and I was asking my father certain questions about Christianity that he couldn't answer. And his answers let me know he couldn't answer. And I knew he was trying, and he was trying to be sincere. So I didn't count it against him, but I just saw the limit of his understanding, right? Well, the same things happened with Ross Sadiel. I asked him what the free national ballot was. Listen closely to the words. I said, brother, what is the free national ballot? His answer was, that don't exist anymore. Well, first of all, that's not an answer to my question.
Sure, not.
Yeah, it's not an answer.
Sure.
Right. So what is that? What did his non-answer tell me? He didn't know. You see what I'm saying? He didn't know what a free national ballot was, and why would the prophet mention cast a free national ballot in direct connection with rights unmolested?
Exactly. See, a lot of people don't pay attention to birthright.
Come on, brother. Exactly.
Yeah, they don't pay attention to birthright.
I'm like, yes. So that set me on a mission. I said, we got to find out what this free national ballot thing is. You see what I'm saying? We got to find out what that is. And if I'm now, follow me closely. And if I'm thinking from the perspective, from the narrative that here's the United States and here's the Moorish Science of America, and they're not together, they're not incorporated, as the prophet said, incorporated in his government. See that? If they're separate,
right,
then who are we voting for with a free national ballot? But we got history. The prophet, right, in the article All Registering in the Moorish Guide newspaper, we have a whole slate of candidates. And guess what? None of them, with maybe the exception of one, was a member of the organization. See that? Whoa. So we're voting in the American system, right? That right there at that time period blew my. I was like, wait a minute. If we're voting in the American system, then we can't be separate, because nobody from Italy, a citizen of Italy, can't participate in our political process.
Nope.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's gotta mean something else. You see what I'm saying? As a researcher, and you're a researcher too, you know, one of the things that real research has to take into account, you have to be honest with yourself. You can't have confirmation bias. I can't impose what I think it may be. And I got to go in knowing that what I think might be proven wrong and be okay with it ahead of time. That's happened to us so many times, brother. Shout out to our research team, Ali's men. It's happened to us so many times, and every single time it didn't prove the prophet wrong, it proved us wrong. We had the wrong idea about what the prophet did. That's what it was. And we had to change how we get attached to those thoughts. Say it again.
Yeah, because we get attached to those thoughts.
We get brother.
Those misinformed thoughts. We get so attached to them because we've been living with them like they was right for so long. It's hard to say, you know what, man, I've been wrong all this time.
Brother,
you right.
Brother, you got it. As man unfolds, as God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. It's not saying that God changes, because truth changes not. It's noting that there's a difference between truth and our perception of truth. This is what changes.
Our perception.
Yeah, that's what changes. But we confuse our perception with the truth. Know what I'm saying?
So how long was you with Rashad?
I was with him.
How long was you with the
1928?
about?
Yeah, from the summer of 2000 to around, I think it was 2006, 2007 when I said, all right, that's enough, and left. But yeah, it was the summer of 2000.
Because there's another thing that's floating around about the 19, and I think he the one put it out there too. He's saying that you led the charge. He's saying, how could you be the National Press Secretary and you led the charge with him with a lawsuit against the Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc.
I wasn't even there when that took place. I wasn't there when that took place. Yeah. What he's talking about,
you associated with that?
No, not at all.
They associated
the lawsuit thing had to do with him with them running into problems in the prison system, with prison ministry.
Mm-hmm.
They were causing confusion.
And what year was that?
It was after I left, so I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay,
but it's after I left.
Where you leave though?
Well, I left in 2006, 2007.
Oh, this was after that. Okay. No, the reason why I asked you that is because I ended up meeting a brother from Alabama prison who was under their tutelage, but they didn't really know how to conduct meetings. And I started to work with the guy, and exactly what you're saying, it was an issue because 1928, but the chaplain didn't know who was who and how to distinguish what, so they just allowed them in there. And once they found out about us, then it started to cause them problems. So I was just,
that's what.
But he put that out there.
Yeah, that's a lie. Yeah. I wasn't around at that time. There was a time when they had asked me to put together some legal paper or Yeah, like a civil suit, so to speak, but nothing ever happened to it, and it wasn't against the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated. It wasn't. Now I'm going to have to go back in my archives and see if I still have that stuff. But yeah, it wasn't against the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated. It was not against. And now the suit that he put in, right, or the suit he filed against the organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else told me this. I didn't see it. They said that Rashad was saying, oh, and Brother Jones-Bey, they had to pay X amount of dollars to, right? And I know that's not how that works. You don't pay your way out of a lawsuit. What happens, as well as this, if you state a claim that's frivolous or for which relief cannot be granted, your case gets dismissed. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
It was considered frivolous and without merit.
Yeah, I talked to him. He told me he was going to keep making those frivolous lawsuits in order to try to eat our bank up. That's what he told. He told me that himself over the phone.
Where's the principles?
He said, "Big bank, take little bank."
Where's the principles in that?
Man.
Yeah, what the principles?
Man, that brother's something else. But I want to ask you this though: when I met you in 2007, around 2007, 2000, somewhere around there, you wasn't with Ali's men. Not Ali's men. You wasn't with Rashad. You was with Ali's men had just started. Okay, so you wasn't with no particular grand body or anything. You just with Ali's men at that time.
That was it, and it was Brother A. Hopkins Bey that invited me to that event, or told me about the event. And right, little. I don't know if I've ever said this on a podcast either. Ali's men began with 3 people, and it was inspired by my good friend Dr. Wesley Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. He had the Allah team. See? Okay. And so the Allah team is like a similar type of entity within the Nation of Islam, or not within. It's not a part of the Nation of Islam. These brothers all went to college together, and they were 5%ers that joined the nation. That's what happened. Okay. Right? So the idea was inspired. Me and Wesley, we've been rocking hard together since like 05, 06. And 3 people started Ali's Men. Myself, a brother that was with me in the very beginning when I joined Rashad Eel's group. And that's Brother Mahdi McCoy Eel, was originally out of Atlanta, Georgia. Now he's in the Baltimore area. Right?
Okay.
Myself, Brother Mahdi McCoy Eel, and Brother A. Hopkins Bey.
Okay.
We are the 3 founders of Ali's Men, brother. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what was the purpose of Ali's Men, and what did you have to do to be recognized as a member?
The whole purpose of Ali's Men initially was a group of brothers that desired to first develop scholarly methodology, and then to develop and produce research that would support the Prophet's agenda and mission, regardless of group, grand body, organ, whatever. Just the Prophet's work, and develop scholarly, to the best of our ability, scholarly research that would support and defend the Prophet. That was it.
I know some people using that same information that as you said, it was you and 2 other brothers,
yes, sir,
who founded basically Ali's Men,
yes, sir,
and opened up the thought to take away the barriers of grand bodies. We follow Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It don't make no difference who your supreme grand sheikh is, grand sheikh and moderator is. Yes. So y'all did this impartially. And individuals take that same information today that you guys gathered and try to use it against you to try to somehow discredit the particular grand body you're with when Ali's Men was founded on. That's crazy.
Brother, let me tell you. One of the members of Ali's Men, brother El Tunica Ill, right? That's my guy. We were all, when we first started researching and then see, it wasn't just researching. It was research and sharing our research and then vetting our research. So we would fight, not fight, but we would struggle amongst ourselves to refine our research. We would vet our research and we would do it aggressively. So like I give an example, we talked about the whole free national ballot thing, right? And how the Ross side of Hill was like, oh, they don't do that anymore. Okay, well, that's a non-answer, but we need to know what this is about, right? Because the prophet deemed it important. Brother, it wasn't until we had, it wasn't until we had initially formed Ali's Men that we got our hands on old original copies of the Morish Guide newspaper. And man, you read the newspaper, what are you doing? Especially you read the newspaper from 1928. Brother, you're looking at a time capsule of what was going on in 1928. So we had our preconceived notions and our ideas. When we were reading that paper, man, all of the old people we learned from, we wanted to smack fire out of.
Right. Right. Yeah.
We were like, man, y'all messed us up. You know what I'm saying? We thought we knew what this thing was about.
Misinterpretation. Yes. Yeah, they misinterpreted a lot of stuff.
Brother, when
not trying to be funny, their level of education was different.
You got it, brother. Here's another thing. They had extreme cases of confirmation bias. They did not want to say ever that, you know what, maybe I got that wrong.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Maybe I got that wrong. But a wise man does what? Doubts often and changes his mind. Right. So we're reading the papers. I'm like, this is what a free national ballot is. We don't use those words today. What words do we use today? Culturally based vote block. For instance, the Irish have an Irish vote block. They vote on Irish issues that affect the Irish American community. Get it? The Germans have a German vote block.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a vote block.
I get it. What vote block we got?
Come on now.
We don't come together
as a vote block. Now watch this. The prophet set one up in 1928. That's what made it so revolutionary.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And if we stick together, you know what I mean? You know how big our vote block would be if we all was come together under the umbrella of being recognized Moorish Americans, and they will start to cater to us, to our needs, and making sure that our rights are. Come on, man.
Brother, listen, to your point, I got goosebumps. Brother, to your point, what we're talking about right now, the prophet solved the problem in 1928. But guess what we're talking about right now? The number one reason. You live in Detroit, bro. The number one reason why the Europeans in the suburbs are trying to retake the urban centers under gentrification. This is the number one reason. It's to dilute the potential voting power of our people in the urban center, which outnumber them.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That is it, brother. That's it right there. Because if we organized and mobilized and politicized, your local government in Detroit would directly reflect the constituency of the urban center. It would look just like you. And it would happen overnight.
It reminds me of when I used to look at the show The Wire. What's this other show? The Wire, when they had Asiatic mayors, and then the mayors used to always cater to the ministers. They gather the ministers and say, we got to see what the ministers think about this, because they had a voting block. The ministers, all their congregation, they thousands and thousands of congregations is a voting block. We want to make sure that the ministers are pleased so that we can make sure that that voting block come our way. And we scattered. We don't get what we supposed to get because of that scattering, because we're not forming a voting block. I get it.
There's a book there's a book I want all the listeners to get. The book is called The Bloody Shirt. The author's name is Stephen Budiansky. The book is called The Bloody Shirt. Please get that book. If you have that book, you will be able to make so much sense. What happened?
My bad. I hit the wrong button. It was playing some music.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah. But yeah, if you have that book explains some historical stuff that's been hidden, right? That would help you make so much sense of what we're looking at right now, socio-politically, right? In that time period, I'm just going to give just a real short synopsis. Right at the end of the Civil War, we know that the 14th and 15th Amendments were force ratified on the South. Yes, they were. Federal troops were sent to the South to enforce the 14th and 15th Amendments after they're ratified. In other words, the former Confederate states, as a condition to re-enter the Union, were forced to ratify the 14th and 15th Amendment. That's what the prophet said when he said the South, which was outside the body of power, the 14th and 15th Amendments placed them back within the constitutional body of power. That was a condition for them. But there was a third thing, brother. And this you can look up.
Man, we just talked about this.
There was a third thing.
I'm glad you brought it up. We just talked about this.
Yes, sir. There was a third thing. The South, the Confederate States, were penalized by having their voting rights temporarily suspended. That is why by the year 1870, if you look at the state legislature of Louisiana, it was all us. That's why. See what I'm saying?
You just got to.
That's why over 60% of the southern state legislatures look like you and me by 1870. And then you had the Compromise of 1877. It was the Rutherford B. Hayes. Y'all think Trump is the first time y'all seen Trump? Nah, Rutherford B. Hayes was the first Trump. When you look at that, and it was a controversial presidential election that year, 1877. The Southern Dixiecrats, the former Confederates, they said, listen, we'll leave it alone. We will leave it alone. We won't contest the presidency on one condition. What condition was that? You pull the federal troops and let us do what we want with these Negroes. It's called the Compromise of 1877. The federal troops pull out, the rise of the KKK, the rise of the White League, the rise of the Red Shirts, and they called themselves the armed component of the Democratic Party to preserve and protect the white vote. That's what they called themselves. That's what it was, right? And that is when, so it was the number one, terrorize us out of office. And immediately following that was what? The so-called race riots. Those were armed European takeovers of Asiatic American cities. That's what they were. To say race riot is to dumb it down. Nah.
Yeah.
That's what they were.
Yep. Yeah. Brother Sharif.
Yes, sir.
Now you did an excellent job, thorough job giving us that back information. Now I won't, because I want to try to wrap it up in a few minutes. Sir. But I want to know, and the audience want to know.
Yes, sir.
Ali's Men, founded by you, Hopkins Bey, and another brother.
Yes, sir.
To now. You're now the
National Press Secretary.
I want to get this. Yeah, I wanted to get it right because I made a mistake and typed on the last one. I typed national spokesperson.
Shout out to the Grand National Secretary of Morris Still American Corporation.
Yeah. She was paying attention. She was like, "It's line, brother. You got it." I was like, "Oh man, I don't even know how to correct that, but I want to get that right." National Press Secretary. So you went from Ali's Men to a few years later. How many years later from the time Ali Men started till you become a member of the Morris Science Temple of America, Inc., to becoming the National Press Secretary? Share that journey with us.
Sure. So Ali's Men began.
And let me add one last thing to it. in your role as the National Press Secretary.
Got you. So Ali's Men started around 2007. That's when Ali's Men started. Mm-hmm. I joined the Morish Science Civil America Incorporated under the leadership of my leader, Brother R. Jones-Bey, in the year 2012. Mm-hmm. I became a member under Subordinate Temple Number 11, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, under Brother A. Hopkins Bey, Grand Chief. So one of the three founders of Ali's Men became my first Grand Chief.
Okay, praise the Lord.
Our study group.
And you in Syracuse, New York, right?
I was in Syracuse. I'm in Syracuse, New York, yes.
Okay.
No, yes, I'm in Syracuse, New York. But I became a member. Now, how that happened was really interesting. I was flying out of Philly to do a workshop, a martial arts workshop in Minnesota. And I was going to be in town for a number of days. So Brother T. Hopkins Bey, I told him, hey, I'm going to be in town. He said, let's surprise the Grand Chief. Right? So he didn't know. So I spent a few days with Temple Number 11 and then flew out to Minnesota, then flew back into Philly, stayed a few more days, and I was at a Sunday school. And they actually got this on camera. It's on YouTube. And so Brother A. Hopkins Bey was like, yeah, our brother, has so glad to have him here. I want him to work with, our brothers, physical training, some combat training, some other stuff. And, just a great asset, and he said this during the announcement period. And so I said, brother, I would love to do that, but, I'm out of place, brother, because I'm not a member. He issued me my card that day. He issued my card that day. And also, too, Brother R. Webb-Bey of Memphis, Tennessee, who's now in Atlanta, he was there. He joined, right? Months later, because we were making meetings via Skype. And then if we're in the area, we come to a meeting. Months later, Brother Bannister Bey, top soldier, right? He was the chairman of 11. He called a meeting with us. And we were in Philly, and he said, listen, but A. Hopkins Bey was not in the meeting because of the personal conflict, because we're close already. He wasn't in the meeting on purpose. So Brother Bannister Bey said this to us, said, listen, yeah, Skype is good and everything, but you got to make your meetings. And we understand you live in Memphis and you live in Syracuse, New York. We get that. So what we're going to ask you to do is this. We're going to ask you to bring the spirit and the energy of Temple Number 11 to where you are. We're going to ask you to open study groups. That's how that happened.
Okay.
That's how
okay. Very well.
Yes, sir.
So it was never like that you was had the opportunity to join a temple in New York, or like you were seeking to join a temple and you just skipped over New York and went to Philadelphia. No. It just happened the way you just described it, and here we are today.
That's how it happened.
Praise the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Praise the Lord. Yeah. So after you start doing study groups, did you already have individuals to participate in the study group, or did you have to find members, or did members come
built from scratch, brother? But I've done it before. I did it for Ras Adiel not once but twice. I built a temple for him in Syracuse and in New York City. That's how Brother Y. Cyrus Hill came. That's how Brother Y. Cyrus Hill came to the movement.
Oh, is it Islam?
That's how.
Okay, he came through the same 1928 grand bite.
Yes, sir. Okay. And so when things got crazy for him, and he said, "Man, I got to get up out of here," I had already left, and he was like,
"Right,
where should I go?" I said, "Go here, Temple 34, Brooklyn, New York, Morish Science Civil America Incorporated."
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So you just set up a number and just started to advertise to the Moors who want to participate, and they
that was it.
Now
just grew it organically,
and then you became and then you became a branch temple.
Branch temple.
After that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We became a branch temple
of 11.
We operated as a study group. We started in 2013, and we became a branch temple. Oh, what year? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think either 20 or 21 is when we became 2020, 2021 is when we became a branch temple. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
we just became a subordinate temple January 8th, 2025.
Praise the Lord. And that number is?
Temple number 10.
Subordinate temple
number 10. Number 10.
Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse, New York.
I'm trying to market, but I'm marketing for y'all that's in the Syracuse area that's looking for a home temple. Temple number 10, Grand Sheik.
Thank you,
brother Sharif Anael-Bey. It's a very wise and spiritual brother, and you can see, and an individual should want their leader to be well-rounded and experienced, and have left his footprints clearly cut, so that they can see which way their master went, if you will. Yeah, and I think that's very important. That's just like, that qualify you as a person with lived experience. Meaning, I didn't live that. What you're trying to understand, I lived it. And what better guide? Yeah, because a Grand Sheik or a leader of a temple ain't nothing but a guide.
That's it, brother.
Or a mentor. Yeah, it's just a guide or a mentor. So you will want your guide or your mentor who have been through a battle. I don't want nobody telling me about how to go off into the battlefield. They ain't never been in the battle.
Come on now.
You try to teach me how to fight, and you ain't never been in a fight. I tell guys that all the time. I say, look, man, I say, you look real good hitting that bag, and you doing all that. Then you get that guy in front of you, man. He knock you out in 30 seconds.
And that's another point too. And that's another point too, dear brother. Right? Let's take the fight game. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't show me or speak to your losses, I don't believe you.
Exactly. That's where you learn. That's where you learn from.
Yeah.
That's where you get your most experience from.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This guy told me one time he ain't never been scared a day in his life. I said, yeah, right. I don't want to be around you because either something wrong with you or you're a big time liar. Because everybody,
you're a big time liar or you're a sociopath. That's right, brother.
Or a sociopath. Because everybody growing up and had some experiences that they was new experiences that have shook them a little bit. You may not have been completely scared, but you were shook. A brother told me, and this guy that told me this, man, he was a street dude, and he had a record behind him where he had some lives, some bodies behind him and everything, and he embraced me. And I was like, why does brother embracing me like this? And he said the reason why I love and respect you so much, because he asked me a question when we first met after he told me about all this tough stuff he did. He said, asked me when I was on the streets doing what I was doing, have I ever been afraid? And I was like, man, what? I said, that's why I used to drink so much. That gave me the courage.
Yes, sir.
He said, and look, he started laughing. He said, you my brother for life. He said, because I have too. He said, and I don't trust people that tell me that I don't care how tough they is. If you try to tell me that you ain't never been scared in your life because I ain't scared of nobody, this, that, and that. He said, I don't trust you. So me and him formed a bond. Hey, look, we formed a bond based off the fact that we both admitted that we have been scared in life before. You know what I mean? Because fear, that's where you learn from, man.
But now, see, that's
you learn something.
Here's the other part too.
I was going to say this. Come on with it. No, you come on with it.
To that, brother. That is a prerequisite for real courage. See,
that's what I was about to say.
You do it. Courage is doing what's necessary in spite of the fact you're scared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's how you gain strength.
Come on.
That's how you gain strength. And then you fail to realize that fear actually means false evidence that appears
real.
Yeah, that wasn't even real. I remember the first time I got punched in the face, I thought it was going to kill me the way people described it. I got hit in the face. I was like, oh, that's it?
That's it? Brother.
That's it? Come on. You know what I mean?
That's real.
It wasn't nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. And that's how life is, though. We scared to live life. Nowhere near as bad. People scared to live life because they're scared of the impact of it, but it's not really.
What did our prophet teach us? The thought of the affliction harmeth worse than the affliction itself.
Than the affliction itself. Yeah. All right. So now we're here. Subordinate temple number 10.
Yes, sir.
Well, prior to subordinate, yeah. Did you know you had to be? Let me say this, because you were the national press secretary when your temple was still a branch temple, right?
Yes, sir.
So what year did you become the national press secretary, and how was that introduced to you, and how did it make you feel?
Wow, brother. Wow, that's wow. Nobody's ever asked me that. That's crazy. Let me tell you. I was made national press secretary 2024. Or no, 2023. I was national press secretary and I was appointed that the last day of convention, and I had already left. So I didn't even know until maybe a few days later, Brother Anael-Bey called me and told me. I didn't even know.
Right.
Yeah, wow. I didn't even know. I was like, a word? Okay. And then we had a conversation about it. And that was important because he was like, look, because he was the national press secretary. And he was like, I want you, he said, Brother Anael-Bey, I want you to be more proactive with the position. More proactive with the position and take initiative rather than sit back and wait for somebody to say something negative about the organization. And then you jump out there and say, well, what happened was, you know what I mean? To be more proactive in shaping the image of the movement and shaping the image of the organization. Right?
Okay. Right.
And so that's what I've been doing or attempting to do. That's what I've been attempting to do.
How much input does the Grand Sheik and moderator have on the information that you share, and do he has a position that he wants you to present to the Moors, about, because every year I hear this, what did the National Grand Sheik say is our focus for this year or our agenda for this year? Do you receive those type of instructions to give the Moors?
So our leader, brother, is an extremely insightful brother. And I don't say this to be patronizing or to, I've learned so much from him. But a lot of times we think learn so much means, I got this lesson, I got that lesson, and he sent me this document. No. I watch how he moves. I listen to how he speaks and how he parses his words to be very, very clear with what he's trying to convey. You know what I mean? He's very careful with that. And I'm learning from that. That's how I'm learning now as it relates to what I'm doing in the position. I have to work very closely with him because that's a prerequisite of the position. I got to work very closely with the national officials and specifically him, why he appointed me. That's another thing about government, right? There's an elected seat and then there's an appointed seat. Appointed seat isn't an official. Appointed seat is staff, people.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? An appointed seat is staff. Like a deputy mayor. A deputy mayor is not elected. So they're staff. They answer to the mayor. Not directly to the people, to the mayor. So same thing. My seat's appointed. I answer directly to the moderator. I have to work closely with the moderator. That said, anything that I think may be first of all, we've been working together solidly and continuously since 2015, the first day I met him. Right? Okay. The first day I met him physically, we've been working together since then. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but yeah, since then. And so, and I was still a lay member because that was the year. Well, we'll talk about that later. but from 2015 till now, so it's 10 years. And so I've earned, and Brother R. Jones Bey, he plays the long game. He sit and watch you. You know what I mean?
Yes, he does.
Yes, sir. So
yes, he does.
He's grown to trust me in that respect. You see what I'm saying? It's not a favoritism thing. It's okay, I've watched you and I'm still watching you. You know what I mean? And so that said, I always share with him my perspectives and what and even research.
Mm-hmm.
And not all the time does he even agree with the research.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I give you an example. Years ago, there was a thing about the census, remember?
Yeah.
And so he asked, now we had already done some research as Ali's men. He asked me, he said, can you all do some research along these lines and submit it to me? I said, yeah. So we did. And that's another show. We can talk about that in another show, the details of it. But we shot it to him. Did he follow that? No. He did not. And initially I was like, huh? But then I was silent and watched. And I saw the result of the direction he took. And I said, you know what? That was wise. It was wise because not because of data or information. It was wise because of the position he took and how it affected the minds of the members, brother. And it showed me where his perspective was. It was the care of the membership over data and info. He didn't lead people wrong. He just said, okay, I respect that research, but that research is showing me how I need to handle the flock. Because, and I'll just share this, there was somebody on the outside of the organization that had influence on members in the organization and was trying to steer the organization and certain officials a particular way with certain information. See? The way that the moderator handled that, it dissolved the connection, it dissolved that influence that this individual had.
That's what's up.
Yes,
so
sir.
That answered a lot of questions for a lot of people, because a lot of people was wondering, like, how did he become the national press secretary? He just came around. He ain't been here long enough. He just, and you just explained it. They don't see, people don't know, love to talk, but they don't know relationships that be taking place outside of their visual. It goes back to perception, because you didn't see it don't mean it ain't take place.
That's right.
Yeah, you ain't see it don't mean it didn't take place. So that answered a lot of questions. Because that sounds like a 10-year working relationship. And after 8 years of that working relationship, he was appointed, recognized to be qualified to be the national press secretary to disseminate certain information that would be conducive to the painting the Moorish Science Temple of America in a better light, not needing that it need to be painted, but presenting it in a proper light, separating. I like the way you be doing, separating from all the misleading information, because there's so many different organizations that branched off, as we discussed earlier, that started off in the Moorish Science Temple. Teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I should say, is branched off that mimic it. We aren't the only individuals that wear fezzes. Masons wear fezzes.
Correct.
There's different Turks. It's Turkish organization that wear fezzes. It's different people that have eels and bays on their name.
There's Catholics that wear fezzes. There's Catholics. There's an order called the Order
and
of
got eels on their name too.
Yeah, say it again.
Yeah, I think that. And have eels on their name.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
I seen the TV show dude, Richard Bay. Man, Richard Bay, man, you got a European with a bay on his name. Oh, see, you never know where his bloodline is, where he came from.
Never know.
He may not be Moorish, but bays are used in Turkish.
That's fact.
Communities.
Turkey,
it's just
Egypt,
stuff. All that, but we have to be aware, like we was talking about earlier, sitting in those hall of learnings where you be able to talk to individuals and explain to individuals these things. I never forget, and I just want to say this, and then we can wrap it up. I'll never forget, a sister asked me about my name at a doctor's office about Bay, and I gave her the general response, and she asked for additional information, and I was able to go off into what we're talking about now and explain to her about, different nations of people who utilize the Bay, and it means different things to them, and how ancient the name is. I went off into the Ottoman Empire, and she was just sitting there smiling. And when she finished, she said, I don't mean to seem to, I don't want to seem like I was quizzing you. She said, but I was in a relationship with a guy who was a Bey. And when I asked him, what does the Bey mean? He only can tell me that first thing that you said. And when I pushed further, he couldn't tell me no more. And that let me know that he really wasn't who he say he was. She said, I see you for who you say you are. And I was like, wow, that's deep.
That's
so you gotta start getting them all the learners and start being able to study and being able to articulate your position as a Moorish American. Because some people are gonna think you there when they see that Anael-Bey on your name and you say you're a Moorish American, they're gonna think you there. They ain't gonna want to do business with you because they may think you a part of some other diverse mindset or group here to take their house or their property. I didn't have that happen to me before, and I had to tell you, as soon as I get ready to sign the thing, he's like, man, don't try to take my house. And I chuckled, and I was like, man, I'm not one of those. I said, I'm with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You have to learn how to articulate yourself. So all of this information, man, that we've been sharing about the nation inside of a nation, learning more about you. I'm pretty sure, I'm positive that the Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc. has a better idea of who you are, where you come from. And I want prayerfully, and I want to say this. One thing I noticed throughout your life that you have always been considered someone who knows too much. And just because you know too much, you're not trusted, but you are really a trustworthy individual. And I remember you said you suffered from the imposter syndrome, meaning trying to fit in, and trying to camouflage yourself or be a chameleon and blend in with other people. And somewhere along your life, you started to step outside of that camouflage and started to be yourself. And being yourself, sometimes people don't believe who you are. Just continue to be yourself. And I thank you for coming on my show, man.
Thank you for getting on me to do this, brother. I gotta say to the audience. Thank you for getting on me to do this, brother, man. This was healing for me. It was medicine for me, brother. It really was. I've done all kinds of podcasts, talked about all kinds of things, but never talked about me. Yeah,
exactly. Brother. And remember this, Mo. Keep talking about you.
Keep
talking about you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't take the light off you, because that imposter syndrome, that's why you like to talk about that imposter syndrome. You can throw that away. Be you now. Talk about you, because you are the best version of the Moorish American that's inside of you. You, not somebody, not a 1920, not a God body member, not a 5%er, not a member of the 1928 Grand Body, not a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America Inc. Grand Body, but Sharif Anael-Bey, as a man, as an individual, you the prize.
Praise the Lord.
You know that? You the prize to think about it. In every situation you ever found yourself in, you was the prize. But then you left feeling like you did something wrong. Or
somebody told me something today, brother. Let me tell you what you just said. Let me tell you what somebody told me today. Old friend of mine who's seen me go through a lot. We've seen each other go through a lot. He said, Sharif, he said, just understand this about you. I said, what's that, brother? He said, man, your life is the flex.
That's it. Exactly.
That's exactly it. So to hear you say that, I'm like, all right. All right, I need to listen.
Look. That's why people be envious of you, because like he don't think he knows. He knows. You can't be mad at him. See, that's why I tell people about unity. When it says the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of a life, he appointed to everyone his portion. People think that got something to do with my portion of understanding. No, it's a gift that Allah gives to each and every last one of us. And some of us are a little more endowed than others. And a lot of times people be envious of your endowment of the gift that Allah gave you. Like, he gave you more than he gave me, instead of utilizing that gift along with your gift, and we put them together and we build a bigger and better venue, or bigger and better community.
Yes,
that's
and
what it
people
is.
think that when they see brother Barnes-Bey's gift, they become envious of his gift, and they're not acknowledging their gift. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They have a gift that's superior for them.
Exactly. That I don't have.
Right.
You so focused on mine, you forgetting about yours. This brother actually got up in Sunday school. This brother was in Sunday school, and we was as a Sunday school instructor. A lot of times they think the members, when they get up and they be talking, they think they talking to the Sunday school instructor. And I be saying, no, you talking to the class. You ain't teaching me nothing, and I'm not teaching you nothing. We talking to each other, right? So the brother was talking, and I turned my head and asked somebody for some tissue. And as I was waiting for the tissue, the brother stopped talking and walked out the temple because he felt that I was ignoring him. And when I see the brother later on, I'm like, no. I was not ignoring you, but you got to realize that you was talking to everybody. You had everybody's ear. Sometimes, a lot of times, everybody's ear. Sometimes as individuals, we minimize our presence. We minimize the importance of our presence, I should say. Because when that brother left out, it kind of like devastated everybody, because they were so caught up in what he was saying, but he was so caught up in trying to impress me. You know what I mean? He was
suffering from imposter syndrome too, brother.
Exactly. And we all, I know for a fact, I was suffering from it a lot. And the point I'm making is, once you start to step outside of that imposter syndrome, people start to envy you because they have not had the courage yet to step outside that imposter syndrome.
Praise the Lord.
So I just want you to keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep representing the more Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm gonna say the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because that's what we're supposed to represent. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because there's a lot of Moors that's in other grand bodies that's representing Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So I don't try to discredit them because they're not in the Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc., that they are not representing Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Correct.
I'm going to tell you to keep representing Prophet Noble Drew Ali to the best of your ability. It's seen and it's recognized, and I look forward to me and you continue to do some work together, brother.
Absolutely, brother, man. Thank you so much, brother, man. Yes, sir.
All right. Peace and love. I'll see you at the convention.
Absolutely. Peace.
Peace. Ooh.